Okay, hello, hello. If anybody can hear me, this is Jodio, and I think that we are live here. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes. If you are here and you would like to say hello, try just saying hello in the chat, and I'm going to test a couple things out here while we're doing that. Margo, I'm going to make you a moderator. So and Lex, I'm going to make you a moderator as well. Don't know exactly what that gets us to have you as moderators. And it looks like you could raise a hand if you're here and you want to say anything. And then I think, okay, Margo, it looks like you said hello. That's great. So Margo, I think, let's see, there's Q&A on the right side. There's polls. There's backstage chat. Let's see how that works. Who can see this? Who can see this? I think Margo and Lex, you will be able to see this, the backstage chat. There's a studio. I'm going to add our logo. Okay, Storytell logo. Thing. I'm going to share a YouTube video. See how this works. Here. So I just shared a YouTube video. I'm making a cloud up of me doing this, but I don't know if anybody can see the videos. Let me know if you can see the videos. I think what I want to do is I want to allow anybody to like turn their camera on. So let me figure out how to do that. I'm going to enable something called open stage, which I think means anybody is able to turn their camera on. Invite to main stage. Mark, I'm going to invite you to the main stage. Lex, I'm going to invite you to the main stage. Or here, I'll invite Lex to stage left. We'll see how those are different. Backstage chat. Okay, Margo, I see you said me. Got it. Interesting. I don't see the backstage chats unless I click on them. So I'm not sure how I would necessarily even know. And I also want to figure out how to share my screen. That's the main thing that I don't know how to do. Let's see here. Okay, there's Margo on the main stage. Surprised there's not a really big share screen option. Okay, I see share screen now. Present video screen slides. Entire screen, Chrome tab. Okay. going to try sharing again. Screen. Share. Okay. So now my question. Okay, so here we go. I think the challenge is that when I share my screen, I can't see all of you. So I'm gonna take a video of this for the Crowdcast team. Okay, and I think we have Cheryl here. Hi, Cheryl. I'm gonna invite you to join on stage left here. And you should be able to say hello. Tell me if you can hear me, and let's see if we can hear you. Also, Margot, could you try unmuting and saying hi just to see if that works? Cheryl, we're just trying to figure out this new platform here. Let me try chatting and see Margot or Cheryl. First off, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Great. Awesome. Thank you, Margot. Okay, let's see if Cheryl, do you want to try saying anything? We'll see what kind of experience you're having. While we're waiting on Cheryl. Oh, hey,
There.
Cheryl.
Hi.
Hey, Cheryl. How are you?
Good. Um, no longer missing in action.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Back
Now,
off
where,
and on.
where, where, where in the world are you? Because I know that you had moved, and then maybe did you move back? I couldn't remember.
I sold my house and spent about 8 weeks traveling to Ashland, Oregon, Portland, Tacoma, other parts of Washington, and then down to San Diego. And then we didn't like any of those places, and so we decided we're going to take a apartment in Menlo Park until we figure out where we want to live.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, so you're local again, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, I'm local again, and likely to stay here for at least 6 months. I do plan
Okay.
to go to Ireland around March to check out that place, but
No, that
it's
sounds incredible.
it's really hard to leave the Bay Area. It's where
Yeah.
everything the weather is perfect, and it's where everything is going on.
Yeah. Well, I would love to grab a meal with you, Cheryl. So let's definitely talk about that at some point soon.
Let's
And
do
if
that.
you do go to Ireland, great. I've got a bunch of friends in Ireland, so let me know.
Okay, great.
Um, Also, we've got another person here, but I don't have your name. If you want to say hello, whoever might have just joined a minute ago, feel free to just drop something in chat, or I've invited you to also join the stage here if you want to turn your camera on and say hello. No pressure. But what I wanted to propose for today, this is the first time using this platform, so we're all learning together. I think that I'm sharing my screen and that I've got a demo account up. Cheryl, do you see that? Do you see something that's Huli demo?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So what I wanted to propose for today is that I can walk you, and Cheryl, this might be great for you since I don't know how much time you've gotten to spend in this new platform. Might be a great opportunity for you to kind of see what's possible now.
I have been keeping up with it a little bit, but it would be great to take a guided tour to get that overall narrative feel to it.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds great. And for anybody else who's here, as I'm giving a demo, if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat. I think you should also be able to turn your camera on and join the stage if you want to do that and ask a question live. But don't be shy. We're here for you. So we're here to help you learn about Storytell. I also am going to just post a question to the Crowdcast team, which is the platform that we're using to do this demo. When I share my screen, I don't think that I can see all of you. Like Cheryl, I can't see you when I'm actually in my screen here, and I want to be able to see you. So I'm going to be switching back and forth between tabs. So Cheryl, just maybe say something because I'll still be able to hear you, but I wish that I could see you while I was sharing my screen. So we'll ask them. There's probably something that I'm doing wrong here.
Maybe you don't want to see me.
No, I definitely do. I'm here for you. So
Okay.
at any rate, for now, just speak up if you have a question and you want to have me go deeper in some area. Can you see my mouse moving around on the screen? Is that working as
Now,
I'm clicking on things? Yeah. Okay, great.
okay.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Yes. Okay, good. So we are in a fictional demo account called Huli Demo. So this is a project in Storytell. Storytell now has the ability to have multiple projects. And that is actually up here in the top left of the nav bar. You can add a project, you can manage projects. I'm not going to talk a lot about projects today unless anybody wants to learn more about that. But projects are a good way to create fully separated spaces. So if you have an initiative that you're working on and you want to invite people in, but you only want them to work with that content, a project is a great way to do that. So that's a new feature in Storytell that didn't exist before. When you're in a project, you have really two main sections. You have the ability to create new chats, and you have the ability to manage the knowledge that is in that project. And Storytell is really about being able to talk to your data, being able to do deep research on your data, being able to come up with output that is based on your data. So we've done a lot to make it easy to work with and manage data. And I'm going to show you a bunch of those things today. But the first thing would be how to get data into Storytell. And so you do that by uploading files right here. You can also click on the paperclip. It does the same thing. So you can click this to upload files. You can also just drag files in to the browser window. That's the same thing as clicking the upload files. You also are able to paste content in if you have anything that you want to paste, a title and the detail. You can also add a URL to get it into Storytell. So those are the ways that you get content into Storytell. Cheryl, any questions about that so far?
Minnie, question about projects.
Yeah.
Are are they by default completely isolated from other projects, and or can you share data between projects?
Great question. So yes, they are fully separated spaces. Data only lives in one project or another. However, you can copy and move data between projects. And so let me show you that. So I've already uploaded a bunch of knowledge into this project. And we can see here that I have a list of files that are in this project. And I can look at these files in a list view like I'm doing right now. I can also look at them in a card view. So over here on the right, I can switch between list and card. Card's a little bit more compact. They both show pretty much the same data. I can check mark one or more of my files, and I can then either copy or move them between projects. So this
Mm.
is how I do that. If I want to copy them to another project, then I just click here and I can choose the project that I want to move them into, and it will maintain a copy in this project and it'll put another copy into that project. Does that answer your question, Cheryl?
It does. May I put in a plug for sharing between projects? I know there's probably significant security issues around that, but I'm sure you'll figure
Yeah,
them out someday because
yeah,
um, sharing allows you to create in one place. And if you need to update that data in one place, it's shared across multiple projects.
yeah. Really, really good point, and thank you. And in fact, I believe that we have Lex, who is our tech ops lead, who is on this call. And Lex, I'm sure you're already doing this, but if you could just take a note. Oh, it looks like we have Francie here as well. That's great, Francie. Uh, Lex, if you could just take a note about what Cheryl just said. And Cheryl, to paraphrase what I'm hearing you say, you would like the ability to share data between projects. And I'm almost hearing you say that when it's updated in one place, you'd like for it to be updated in the other as well. So it could, because there's
Yeah,
lots of ways that it could do that. It could be a master and then a child, or other ways to do it. But yeah, great.
that would be so useful and important. It's an issue that has come up in technical documentation over and over again.
Sure.
Is how to maintain
Right.
content across many areas.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Thank you for that. Let me also, while we're talking about projects, I'm going to click back into this project and I'm going to click on manage here. So there's a manage button. I can see this is the active project. And when I go in here to the management pane, I'm able to share this project with other people. And I can do it in 3 different ways. I can either create a secret link. A secret link is a link that anybody who has the link is able to join as an owner, a collaborator, or a reader. We'll talk more about those roles in a second. So that's the first option. I can also invite by email. When I invite somebody by email, they will get an email inviting them into the project. Again, I can invite them as owner, collaborator, or reader. Or if I want to invite my whole company in, I can invite via domain access. So for example, here, I'm going to say that anybody who has an email from a Storytell.ai domain is an owner of this project. And so now anybody who is a Storytell user with an email address at storytell.ai will see this project in the list of available projects. So I'll talk about roles in a second, but any questions about sharing a secret link, inviting by email, or domain access? No? Okay, great. I'm flipping back and forth between tabs to see you shaking your head, Cheryl. That sounds good. Project roles, there's a link here that says learn about project roles. And I'm actually realizing that that link is not clickable. So let me go to our documentation, help.storytell.ai. And I think I need to actually do it in this tab for you to see it. So I'm going to go to help.storytell.ai and I'm going to search for project roles. And Lex, if you could make a note that we need to make sure that that link works because it doesn't look clickable. So here are the different roles. We actually have 4 roles. We're adding an editor role in, so that's not showing in the product yet. But the ones that show in the product are owner, collaborator, and reader. Editor is coming soon. And we have details on what it means to be these different roles. So creating new projects, seeing users, renaming projects, deleting projects, the ability to invite people into projects, the ability to work with assets, the ability to work with labels, etc. So all of the permissions are listed here. Cheryl, as a technical documentation writer, I'm sure you already have 50 ideas on how to improve this documentation. So I'm looking forward to having
Oh,
you be involved.
actually, it's very nice, and but I do have questions, and if you want me to wait until
No,
intro,
no, 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 no.
just as
I'm here for you, Cheryl.
okay.
I'm
All right.
I'm here
Uh,
for you and Francie. Francie, ask for questions too as you have them. But go ahead, Cheryl.
so we have um, the roles. Owner makes sense to me. Collaborator makes sense. Um, I can't remember. Contributor was the other one.
There is owner, editor, collaborator, and reader. Those are
Reader.
the
Okay. So
ah,
this it reminds me of some of the best of Confluence. Um,
mhm,
but the first thing I thought of is there an administrator role? Uh,
ah,
Everything is
right.
geared towards text, and as an owner, I may not have time to set up roles and do
Right.
that stuff. I may want to tell my IT administrator, go give this whole bucket of my organization, read only view. And so
Yeah.
I, my question is both structural, right? Your presentation layer is mostly geared to, it feels a little like WordPress and
Yeah.
Confluence, etc. And perhaps a little bit less like, code development.
Yeah. So the administrator role would slot in between owner and editor, and we have not built that out yet, but we do have the back end infrastructure to do it. So
Cool.
we are able to grant. We use an access grant system that will allow us to just turn things on and off for different roles, and for enterprise contracts, we could actually do a lot of very nuanced role granting type work. So the infrastructure is in place to do that. We have not exposed that to users yet.
Super. Well, I think it's perfectly fine. There's hundreds of platforms that are geared like this, and very successful ones. WordPress is one,
Right.
but Storytell sits at the nexus of many areas of development as well, either content or code or etc. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to put a plug in for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have. It's on our product roadmap. So we've built the backend system to make that easy.
Super.
Okay. I'm going to keep showing you around. So this is the effectively kind of like the home page of using Storytell to chat. By default, when you chat, we include all of the project knowledge. So you can see it says here, it might be a little bit small font. I'll try to make it bigger actually. It says chatting with all project knowledge in the project name, Huli Demo. So that is the default behavior is when you ask a question, it will ask the question of all the knowledge that you've put into the project. However, that is very, very configurable in powerful ways. And so the
Mm.
first thing that I want to do is I just want to show you what's possible. I'm going to start with just a very simple question, which is summarize all of this for me in a paragraph. And so we can imagine that to start, maybe I'm new to this project and I just want to know what's in here. And so what I'm doing is I'm chatting with all the project knowledge and I'm asking for a summary in a paragraph. When I write a prompt in Storytell, we will give you an improved version of the prompt by default.
Mm.
And so it's up to you to decide if you want to use the one that Storytell is recommending. If so, you say submit this instead. Or maybe you like it, but it's not quite what you want it to be. You can edit it. There's an edit button up here. Or you could say, no, I like mine better. I'm going to go ahead and send mine. That's just down here. So those are the options to decide what you want to send. If you don't like having an improved version, you can also change this. You can turn it off so it does not improve. You can have it on, which is the default, and you can also make it auto. If it's auto, then anytime I write in here, please, it will just automatically improve the prompt for me without giving me a suggested version. It just does it for me. So I like having it on, and there's an undo. So you're like, no, I didn't actually
Mm.
want to do that. I like having it on, which puts it above where I wrote it. Okay. There are
Very nice.
also a few other. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a fun. I mean, people tend to love that feature because it helps you ask better questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, it's actually a pretty sophisticated feature because we look at what the user wrote. We look at the contents of what is in scope, and then we make a better version that combines both the question that I'm asking and the content that I'm asking it about. All right. So I'll go ahead and submit the improved prompt. And then Storytell is effectively going to go do deep research on my content to get my question answered. And the way that it does this is you can see that it says thinking, and then it says reasoning process. A little bit further down here, it says searched knowledge base, reasoning process. And I can open up these sections to see what it's actually searching. So I can
Mm.
see this is what it's searched for. So and Storytell is deciding what questions to ask here. So I asked a question, summarize it for me in a paragraph, and Storytell is basically saying the user's asking for a paragraph. I should search across all the assets. And then once it starts to give me an answer, it takes all of that prep work and it folds it into this section called preparing answer so that
Mm.
I can actually see my answer. But if I want to, I can open this back up and I can see all the steps that Storytell took in order to get me my answer. And I can even open each step up to see what it did. So I can kind of inspect as deeply as I'd like everything that it did. All right, so here's my paragraph. And by the way, this is all fictional synthetic data in here. So just so that we know. And I can see that there are some citations. So the citation shows me where the data came from. If I want to, I can open that and I can get into the detail of the actual asset that it came from. So I can go to it. If I want to get out of that, I just click outside of this knowledge pane here and it'll take me back to the answer here. Okay, so I've got a bunch of citations so I can trust the answer. There's also a number of things that I can do with this answer. So one of the things that I can do is I can copy it. When I copy it, for a couple seconds, I get a few other options. I'll go ahead and hit copy again. There's a few buttons that show up. Copy as markdown, if I want to copy it as markdown here. I can also download the answer as a PDF. So I can take this answer and get a PDF of it, and that will show it to me as a PDF. I can also share it as a PDF. That'll give me a shareable link that I can send to people. I can also, though, open it in the editor. And when I open it in the editor, now I can edit it. I can say about Hooli, and I can make this a title or whatever I want to do to make edits to the document. Now, there's also a very powerful aspect to Storytell, which is I can take Storytell answers and I can load them back in as project knowledge. And so in this way, yeah, I know, Cheryl, this is something that we talked about a while back. So there's an option here that says add to project knowledge. And so I'm going to go ahead and click this. And when I do that, Storytell will add it into my project knowledge. And importantly, I'm going to go ahead and click to view. It says click here to view. Importantly, it tags it with a label called generated by Storytell.
Ooh.
And so this label right here is a way for me to be able to understand that it's something that was created by Storytell. So this is the asset detail that I just saw. I'm also able to go to all of my project knowledge, and now I can see that there is a piece of content here that was generated by Storytell. Okay. Any questions about that, Cheryl or Francie? But go
Um,
ahead, Cheryl.
um, Lots of interesting thoughts around it. Um,
Okay.
I love the citation mechanism. I know it's certain limitations, but I was wondering if there was the possibility, if you have an API around that, wherein it's possible to monetize the
Mhm.
citations. So let's say I'm working with a technical writer and they give me a bunch of content and I'm citing their
Yeah.
content and I want to pay them for everybody who looks at that content. I may want to pay them for it.
Right. That is such a great idea, Cheryl. We don't have that yet, but that
It's
would be
long
such a
term
nice, right.
future, but
Yeah.
the whole all tech is human and concerns
Yeah.
around copyright. I think it would be a great possibility to explore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful idea. Okay. Well, let's grab that as an idea from Cheryl for us to talk about more. Okay, I'm gonna keep showing you around. There's so much to show you. So just slow me down if you wanna, spend more time in any specific area. So we've got an answer from Storytell here. We've loaded it into our project knowledge using the editor. Again, the way that I did that was I hit open editor and I added to project knowledge. And so I can do that with any Storytell answer. Also, Storytell can do more than just search my existing knowledge. So if we remember, what happened up here was I said, give me a summary of this, and it was chatting with my project knowledge, and my project knowledge is all of these files. But Storytell can also go out and search the web, and I want to show you how that works. I might say, I want to learn more about Huli. Go search the web and give me a more detailed analysis of Huli that incorporates external web data as well as everything you know about Huli. So now what I'm doing is I'm telling Storytell to go out and search the web. Storytell by default will work with the knowledge that I've loaded in, but we can have it basically break out of just that container to go do web searches. Okay, I'm going to look to see. I mean, this looks like a great version of the question. So I'll go ahead and submit this improved version here, and let's see what happens. Now, I'm doing this in a thread, an existing thread. And one important thing to understand about Storytell is when I ask questions in a thread, it basically maintains a history of context that is from the thread. If I prefer, I could start a new chat, right? If I want to start from a blank slate, I would say new chat instead, and it
Mm.
wouldn't maintain kind of a memory of this thread. So it kind of depends on whether you want to build on what you're working on or kind of start fresh. But we did it in the thread here. And so we can see here that Storytell is going out and searching the web, and I can open up preparing answer, and I can see in the reasoning process that Storytell actually realizes that Huli Corporation is from a fictional company in an HBO show called Silicon Valley.
Mhm.
And so it realized that it should go out and search the web to learn more about this fictional Silicon Valley company called Huli. And it did. It went and it learned a lot about it. here. We can click on any of these links to go out to them. Storytell did a couple more web searches, realized it had gathered enough, and now gave me a comprehensive answer, which now includes web citation sources.
Mm.
So now I'm getting citations not only from my internal knowledge, but also from web data. And so we can see those here. Again, now I've got a much more robust answer from Storytell because I asked for a full analysis. So there's a much more detailed answer here. And so I'll show you a few more things, but Cheryl, any thoughts or questions about this?
Sorry, I always have lots.
It's okay. It's great.
You had when last I checked in, you had the ability, you have these underlying AI sources, engines, and we had a complex discussion of a platform, but I was wondering what the underlying engine is it the layer that you developed, and can you switch between different AI models and
Right.
or
Yeah.
use all?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So what you are referring to is the LLM router. And I haven't
Mm.
talked about that yet, but that is right down here where it says auto select.
Ah,
So by default, you can let Storytell choose the best large language model for your question, or you can override that by saying, I want to use Anthropic, I want to use OpenAI, I want to use Google. And so I like to leave it on Storytell and let Storytell select. But yes, you can absolutely um, change that. And if an enterprise wants to bring Storytell into their company and have specific LLMs that are enterprise specific, that is why we've built the router to allow for that.
that is
We show
so
you,
super.
yeah, it's cool, right? We show you which LLM is answering down here. So you can see it says that might be a bit small and
Ah,
make it a bit
yeah.
bigger here, but it shows you here. Also,
Um,
while we're here and talking about this, Storytell works on a credit system. So we can see how many credits are used. We can see a credit balance here. If I run out of credits, I can upgrade my account or I can refill. And so that is the kind of like monetization function, like the way that the gas that we use to power Storytell.
are
Okay.
you going to be supporting or are supporting the newer version of Gemini?
We already have it in Gemini 3.0 Pro. It's right here. We're
Okay.
really good at getting the latest models in. We can usually get them in within hours or a day or two.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Alex on our team is phenomenal with that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
All
stop.
right. The next thing that I want to show you is what you can do when you highlight some content from a Storytell answer. And Francie, I don't know if you can still hear me. Maybe you can say something in the chat because we talked earlier today and we didn't get a chance to go over this, but this is a very powerful thing in Storytell. When you get an answer from Storytell, you can highlight some of it and then you can do things with it. So what can you do? Well, you can copy what you highlighted. So that's what people often want to do is I just want to copy this paragraph and I want to put it into an email or whatever. So that's the first option is you can just copy the text. You can also chat with the text. So you can say, I want to chat with this paragraph. And I'll do that. I'll go ahead and hit chat with this. And we can see when I do that, it gets put into the prompt right here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Right up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're basically telling Storytell, hey, you're working with all the project knowledge, but you're specifically working with this paragraph. And I could say something like, expand on this for me. And when I do that, I'm basically saying, I want you to expand on that text right here that I want to work with. And we can see it saying the user wants me to expand on the real world parallels section. And so it's going to go ahead and do that. And so that's a way to work with. And it looks like, okay, it tried to search the knowledge base a couple times. And so there we go. There is the expanded bit on just that first part of the answer. So Francie, if you're still able to hear me, you might enjoy that functionality. Okay. Also, by the way, there are buttons right here. There's a button that says previous prompt. This is a really great way to get between Storytell answers. You can go next prompt, previous prompt to get quickly between the things that Storytell has said. So I really like using that. By the way, speaking of that, you can see there's a little keyboard shortcut. There are a lot of keyboard shortcuts in Storytell. If I hover over this, I can get to my different chats with keyboard shortcuts. I can create a new chat. I can get all around the platform. For those of you that love using keyboard shortcuts like many of us do, it's a nice way to navigate quickly. While we're talking about that, if I don't want to see all of these because I don't use keyboard shortcuts, I can click on the gear and then I can turn off keyboard shortcut suggestions so that they don't show up. And while I'm in here, I'll also mention there are a few other options. One is the ability to change the language. We support natively 41 languages. So we have a lot of global users and we'll detect based on your browser settings, but if you want a different language, you can specify that. And also, you can see that it says background here on the homepage of Storytell, because we're all about data-driven storytelling. We really want you to be able to have a rich visual experience. And so we have different background images that pop up, and you can change the way that works. We have both real and fictional images, or you can say that you don't want an image. If you don't like that, you can turn it off. But I love to have real and fictional earth landscapes for me personally. Some of these are made by Storytell, some of these are actual places. You can also set one specific image as your background if you prefer, if there's one you really like, or you can just let Storytell choose. So that's a way to get just a little bit more vibrance into your experience with Storytell. While we're talking about images, I'm going to go back to a previous chat, and I can actually have Storytell visualize the answer. So again, Storytell is all about being able to talk to your data, work with your data, do data-driven storytelling. And so part of that is not just being limited to text. So for any answer in Storytell, I can hit this button that says visualize this answer. And I can have Storytell choose the best visuals for each answer. I can have Storytell choose to make 4 images, 1 image, whatever. Or I can say I want to select the visuals myself. And I might know that I want to have a photorealistic scene, or a metaphorical image, or a blog post hero image, or a product mock-up, or an infographic. And if I were to do it in this case, I'm getting all those images based on that 1 paragraph answer of Hooli that Storytell had given me. And so maybe we try this. I'll also pick word cloud. You can pick as many of these as you'd like.
You
I'll
have
say go.
word cloud. That's great. I remember that's something
Yes, word cloud is one of them. Awesome. Well, let's see how it does. So now Storytell says the user wants me to create 6 different images. And so now it's going to go do that. One thing that's important to know is that Storytell uses, in our LLM router, we pick the best image models. So we use Dolly, we use Nano Banana, and we use Image Gen. But importantly, text is often misspelled and graphs are often mislabeled. It's just the leading edge of where things are. I think in 6 months, that's going to be a solved issue. So it tends to do very well with like photorealistic images, but you should just be very careful with graphs and charts. Infographics can often be okay, but just be a little bit careful with graphs and charts. We've labeled it as a beta feature. We can see here is a photorealistic image of Hooli headquarters, for example, based on that paragraph summary. Here is a product mock-up of Hooli products. Here, I'll make this bigger. So this is the Hooli product suite that's mentioned. Here is a satirical depiction of a company in Silicon Valley in contrasting scenes. Here is a infographic, for example. So this can be a really nice. What's that?
The infographic is so great. I love it. I wish I had had it 10 years ago.
It's a really nice way to take very dense text and be able to show it visually. Yeah. And this infographic looks good. I don't see any misspellings at first glance, but you just want to kind of check it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see what else we get. Here's the word cloud. You can see like there's some misspellings here. Chris. Let's see what else we've got in our images here.
If we go to the infographic,
yeah,
is it editable or is it flat?
Well, good question. So it depends on which service is generating the image. So we can see that this only has the ability, you can change the aspect ratio. So this one is not out of the box editable. However, this one, we have the prompt here. And there's a button that says revise image. Now, I'll give you a pro tip. When I hit revise image, all it's doing is it's taking the prompt, it's putting it into the chat box, and it's saying revise this image as follows. And then I can make changes to it. You could very easily just say revise the infographic as follows, right?
Yes.
As follows, right? This is really just a shortcut.
Yeah, I read somewhere that these LLMs they do not, they regenerate images. You can't take an image and say
and actually
yeah yet
exactly yet that's exactly
but it's still light years ahead of doing them by hand.
Right, exactly. So that's the pro tip, is just to give it text-based instructions on how you want it changed. Okay, we've got 12 minutes left. I've got so much more to show you, but there's kind of one big additional area that I want to show you before we kick off, which is that when you load data into Storytell, you can label the data. You can see here that we created some labels. And so, for example, remember at the beginning of our call, we made this piece of Storytell output into a piece of content in the project. And I can label this. I can say, well, this is about Hooli, so I'm going to go ahead and add the label about Hooli. I could also make a new label. Maybe I say, for example, I want to call this, executive summaries. When I make a label, I'm able to choose an icon. I can choose an icon and a color for that. So I'll just pick something that looks good here. Create a new label. So now I've labeled this as executive summaries as well. But there is something very powerful that Storytell does automatically. So putting a label on a piece of content is me as a human taking an asset and putting a label on it. Storytell automatically goes and finds all the concepts that are in the content. So this is a dynamically created knowledge graph of the content. And so we have this slider here. This slider lets me look at the asset in a way that I'm used to looking at, which is just the paragraph. But I can slide over. Instead, I can see all the concepts that are in the asset. This is a new view into data that we've never had as humans before, right?
Incredible.
And so what I'm getting here is I can look at it as a graph. Here I can see the connected concepts. I can click on one of them and I can see which concepts are most connected. I can also click into the concept here. So I've got down here, I've got a table. And when I click into the concept, I'm getting the name of the concept, Huli's ecosystem and news strategy. I'm getting a description of it. Huli offers a vast technology ecosystem from OS to hardware, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm able to see the details from the documents that make up this concept. And guess what? It's not just from one asset, it's from all the assets in my project that build up to make up this concept. So we can see that although I was in the About Huli document, and the About Huli document does have data that builds up this concept, there's actually another document here, a product one pager, that also has data. And there's another source here from it as well that build up this concept. And so now for the first time, I have all my data from a concept view instead of an asset view. And I can work with these concepts. So I could, for example, chat with this concept. I could say something like, I want to learn more about this. And now what I'm learning more about is this concept called Huli ecosystem, news, and strategy. So that is what I have put into the scope of my chat. And I could send this, and now Storytell is going to allow me to work with this concept. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only can I see the concepts that are in a single document, like this one document has 6 concepts. I can go from high level all the way to detailed view to see the concepts that are in this one document here. But I can also, I'm going to go back to my project knowledge, I can see all my content as an asset table or as a concept graph. And so now I'm seeing all the concepts that are in this project. And I can look at things from a concept first view, which is pretty cool. And I can work with those concepts.
That's fantastic.
And so this, isn't that cool? Yeah. So it's a very powerful way to load a lot of unstructured data into Storytell and then be able to make sense of it all without having to look at the assets or even label them. You can just be like, what's it? What's this all about?
Oh,
okay. Go ahead, Cheryl, because I'm done with what I wanted to show you. So what do you have questions about? Or where would you like to go deeper?
Projects. Can you take the entire project and pipe it to a markdown file yet?
Mm-hmm. So let me paraphrase what you want. Do you want all of the content in the project to be rendered as a markdown file, as markdown files?
Yes, maybe. So I'm looking at the project, and let's say I want to assemble a bunch of documentation. And typically we divide content into concepts, steps, reference material. And projects would allow me to create the content within the project using both Storytell sources and other written material, original written material. And once it's there, I might want to take, let's say we have subfolders in the projects, and one is concepts, just like you have here. and I would like to concatenate them and pipe them to Markdown. And there I have my web page for, you know, some product.
So here's what you could do today.
Mm-hmm.
What you could do is, let's go back to here. Let's take this concept. Let's just say, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
want to chat with this concept, and I want to say, I want you to render this concept for me as an MD markdown file. And then do you think, Cheryl, would you want just all the content in the concept, or like, do you want an analysis of it, or like what exactly would you like to have as a markdown file?
There's there's um there's three ways it can be used. There's the present day. There eventually there'll be it, web pages with documentation will be rendered obsolete by, you know, products like Storytell, because I can then just go ask, you know, what
Right,
is the concept for blah, you know.
right.
Um, However, we're in this transitional period when people still need um, uh, step-by-step guidance or architected guidance, because they may not know the right question to ask because they don't know the information yet. And so they go to the documentation and they say, you know, Storytell can create concepts. Right now, before your video, I didn't know that could be done. And so I might go to the documentation and see, oh, wow, Storytell can do that. And until we get to the point um, where users, like a user might say in the future, uh, give me a navigational path through Storytell information that helps me understand how to use it, right? And then it might give you a table of contents, or, you know, some sort of tutorial, or blazing a path through, or an infographic. But
Yeah.
right now, I still have to create content in the traditional web page way, like you do, by taking your content, putting it in Mitlify, I think that's correct, and creating static web pages that
Right,
have the documentation. Um, and right now, that's what everybody is used to. It will change
right,
soon. But
right.
so if I can take a project and assemble my documentation using Storytell to help me create and distill the documentation, basically, I want to see a project as the website, right? I want to assemble it all in the project, and then I want to push a button and have it output either to Markdown in a directory structure, or just publish directly to the web someday.
Okay, let me show you a few things that you could do today, and
Mm-hmm.
you can tell me if any of this is what is something that would be valuable for you as a technical writer.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'll just note this is the first time we're using this platform. I have no idea if it's going to cut us off now at 2. I guess maybe it's not, because it's 2 o'clock and we haven't gotten cut off. So if it get if we get cut off, Cheryl, I will Slack you so that we can keep chatting, because I want to make sure that I answer this question. But hopefully we can keep going here. I'm happy to keep going. Also, I noticed, Flav, that you're here, and Francie, I invited you to join the left stage here where Cheryl is, if you want to. No pressure, but you're welcome to jump in and also ask any questions you have. So let me show you a couple things that you can do, Cheryl. The
Yep.
first thing is, you could take a concept or anything, and you can just say, I want you to create documentation for this. And then it gives me a better version of the question. Now, I've got no idea how good or bad this actual documentation would be. Like, we can actually test this to find out. Let's just kind of start here and just see what happens. Like, you know, would it be true that this could end up being a good enough first draft for you? And so it's gonna go and it's gonna give you an answer. And by the way, it's a little bit weird that I'm asking for documentation about this concept. So obviously you normally would be asking for documentation about maybe a specific product or something, but we'll see what it does. It's kind of choosing some products based on that, or it's asking me. I'll say Huli chat and see what it does here. Okay, so while it's doing this, let's imagine that this was its answer. Let's imagine that this was documentation. So the first thing that I want to show you, Cheryl, is that you can copy, and then you can copy as markdown. Do you see that right there? What I just did there? And so you could copy the output as a markdown file. I'll just paste it in here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Did it actually do what I thought that it was going to do? Maybe it didn't actually do it. Or maybe, oh, I know what's happening. It's rendering the markdown as regular text. Okay, so anyway, I could copy this markdown. Since I'm only sharing this one screen with you, I can't actually show you the markdown. But
It's okay.
anyway,
I have used Storytell to generate
yeah.
mark. The
Okay.
The
Here.
issue is um the issue is it's a cut and paste process. And
Right.
I need to go
Right.
into a little bit of history, if you don't mind, until we get cut off.
Yeah, no problem.
This 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 is uh okay for a small
Yeah,
business, but it doesn't
yeah.
scale.
Not at scale. Yeah.
Yeah. And we
Okay.
used to have tools. FrameMaker was one where you write the content, you run it through this transformational app, and it spits out the HTML in the correct structure, in the right order, so that you just post it on the web and it is what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And in the interim, this is great, and we can use it. But I'm looking someday. I'm looking at using Storytell to assemble the information and then render it. Ideally straight to a web page, or in a markdown format that is structured properly in a directory, like a folder with concepts, a folder with processes, and a navigation tool, so that I can go in and edit the errors, and then use a static generator like Sinatra or Mintify, and publish the content.
Okay. So I'm going to try something based on what I'm hearing you say, and you can tell me. I think Storytell probably won't quite be able to do what you're looking for, but I think we've built it in a way that it could. And what I mean when I say that, I can actually show you another section here, which is this tools section. Storytell works by calling tools. So like earlier when we asked it to make an image or we asked it to search the web, those are tools that we have created, and we're showing them to you here in this tools section, which is just this little link here. And we show them to you so you can also turn them off. Like maybe you don't want to be able to do any public web searching. You only want it to use your data. You could turn the web search tool off. That way you know it's not going to go out to the web for anything. And we could create any number of tools. We could create a markdown generator tool or a pipelining tool or a post to a web page tool. Like we've built Storytell to basically be a smart system that can use tools. And we've just made a few of the initial tools. So I'm now, but we haven't made those tools yet that you're asking about. But I'm going to try to do like an approximation of it. In my project knowledge, you can see here that I have some different labels. And some of my labels are for Huli products, right? So I've got like Huli product maps here
Mm.
or Huli product chat. And that's because this is a one pager about maps, about the Huli product maps. And this is another one pager about Huli news. And so I've got in here some content that is about a few Huli products. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I need to create documentation for at Huli, and then I'm going to start to add mention some labels here. So I'm going to add mention Huli product chat, comma, Huli product. See what else we've got here. Maps. I'll just pick one more. And I'll just say news. Huli product news. So these are three labels. Now it just
And
so happens that yeah,
would
go
you
ahead.
add to that? I want to create documentation for these products in DITA style format.
Is it the ITA like that?
DITA, DITA.
The ITA. Okay. So um, go out and learn everything about that format and then create documentation, separate docs for each product. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Okay. So just one important thing here. What we've done is we've said that we want to create documentation for these labels. So I just clicked on one of the labels. We can see that this label has two assets, right?
Mm.
And so basically, I'm able to use labels to group. Like I have a label with 10 assets. I have a label with 100 assets. That's a
Mm-hmm.
way for me to like at mention assets without having to at mention each one separately. Okay. I'm also going to show you one more thing here, Cheryl, which is that has the ability to do deeper reasoning.
Mm.
And this feels to me like something that we might want to do deeper reasoning on. That just means that it's going to spend more time on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll choose this high deep reasoning for challenging problems option. And let's
Mm.
go ahead and kick it off. And when you do deep reasoning, it'll use more credits. You'll get better and deeper answers. And so you can kind of like decide when you want to do that. Okay. So first it's going to go out and it's going to try to understand what DITA is. And we can see, let's just take a look at what it's doing. So it wants to learn the DITA style format. It's searching the web. It's learning about, what does it stand for? Darwin information typing
Yes.
architecture. Great. So
It's
it's
also
going in and it's getting.
star.
What's that?
DITA is the Darwin information type spec, but it's also the name of a porn star. So you have to be careful what it turns
that's
out.
really good to know. Okay. All right. Cool. So we can see it's an XML based architecture. And so here it goes. What do you think about this?
It's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
There's your data output. And,
That's
I think this is great. What's that?
it's fantastic.
That's cool.
It's it's very useful.
I mean, Storytell often surprises me with what it can do. I think this is a great example of like, I don't even often know what's possible.
That's both
And
joyous and scary.
yeah. And so we could make a data tool, right? Where I could literally take any output from Storytell and just turn it into this data XML.
But
Like that would be a tool we could absolutely add to Storytell.
it is Storytell like Copilot in that if I am specific enough, I could ask it to generate the code that would be the tool.
I mean, again, like I am often pretty awestruck by what Storytell can do. So our objective is to make Storytell like the cursor for unstructured data. So I don't know how much you've kind of heard about or used cursor, but it's really for coding, right? So when you talk about like GitHub Copilot, our objective is to make Storytell the cursor for unstructured data. So just all the stuff that isn't structured or in a data warehouse or isn't code. Having said that, like you're the second person this week that has wanted to take unstructured data and put it into a more structured mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you, it was data. For another person, it was somebody who does a lot of gaming with Dungeons and Dragons. And there's like a gaming server where you can make these games in also like an XML type format. It's very interesting to me to see this because it makes me think that we should be making these tools to be able to easily create data formats or there's so many of these different things.
Let me just add to that. When I worked at Splunk, which back in the day was the unstructured data, ruler, they started a separate organization, sub-organization, in order to get people to make apps that worked with Splunk. And they did their own, which they monetized, and then they got the developer community to also create apps that would work with Splunk, and these were very popular. And I can see an ecosystem growing around various LLMs, and
Yeah.
and that would be a great thing. We're perhaps too new in the stage, but eventually a Storytell saga platform where people can use Storytell to generate apps or work with it to create the tools that refine how it's used. So,
I mean, absolutely, it could have that capability, and I love the idea that we can take people who have never been builders and let them become builders. Let them create artifacts that are durable, that amplify what the knowledge they have in their heads. So that is very, very core to Storytell. Be able to work with your data, do data-driven storytelling, be able to create from it. So, okay,
I'll try it.
All right. Oh well. I just want to see, we have a few people here who I don't know who are registered with names that I don't recognize. So if anybody else has a question and you want to put it into chat, or I think I have pretty much invited everyone into the left stage, like Cheryl. So if anybody wants to come into the left stage, I also completely want to be sensitive to time because we are over the allotted time. And so if nobody has anything specific that they want to add, I'll probably just propose that we end for today. But I just want to hold the space for a second. My plan is to do this every Thursday, basically office hours with Drodio. And so Cheryl, thank you for asking a bunch of questions and helping guide me about what to show. It's so I learned so much from these. It's incredible to learn from you and from other users. I love it. It's why I like doing it, because there's things that I just would have never thought of. So thank you for that. Thumbs up, yeah. So I don't see any other questions in chat. I don't see anyone else jumping on the stage. So we'll plan on ending for today. I'll see some of you in Slack. We have a shared Slack workspace. If anyone is not in that yet, I'll go ahead and actually put my email, drodio@storytell.ai. Any of you are welcome to email me with any thoughts or questions, especially if you're feeling shy here. Feel free to shoot me an email. But I will plan on seeing you next week at 1 p.m. for anybody who wants to join. And thank you for everything today, Cheryl. It's amazing.
Thank you for being patient.
Of course. I'm so happy to. I learned from you. There's no patience required. Okay.
All right. Fine.
Take care. Thank you.